Clark and Kieran came along to the Home Office, and I invited them in, and I made sure the officials were there as well to listen to their stories. And you've got two very good advocates for you and for your case, Ian Clark and Kieran, and they convinced me that I should try and do something about it while I was in office, and I therefore set my officials off to do work on this. And you're right that not a great deal has been done. The officials, by the way, are not as uncaring as sometimes they're presented, but they have been subject to the same brainwashing, if you like, over the years as everybody else in society has been. I've always wanted an evidence-based approach towards drugs, or indeed to any public policy. It seems to me that's the only sensible way forward. If people approach policy based on prejudice, preconceived ideas, and refuse to look at evidence, that is not a sensible way to form policy. And if the evidence takes you in different directions, difficult directions, that's not a reason to stop. It's actually a reason to carry on. And that's what I did, and I intend to carry on doing so. Why are we where we are? Well, I don't know. I'm not old enough perhaps to know what happened in the 1960s, and you always say if you were there, you don't remember it anyway. But in 1971 we had the Misuse of Drugs Act come in, and it looks to me, in retrospect at least, that that was a reaction against the so-called swinging 60s. There was a panic amongst certain people in society who were running the place. They said, we've got to put a stop to all this, it's getting out of control. Let's go back to the 1950s, which is by where UKIP want to go, by the way, back to the 1950s, and pretend that everything was all right. And there was no reaction, quite clearly, in all sorts of ways at that point, but certainly in terms of drugs and cannabis, it seems to me, which had been used medicinally for many, many years before that, got swept up in that. And at the same time, there's the combination in people's minds, the conflation of cannabis for medicinal use and cannabis for recreational use, and no distinction was made. And cannabis was classified or scheduled as Schedule 1 as having no medicinal use, despite really quite a lot of evidence to the contrary from pre-1971 from a number of countries. So that is, in my view, looking back on it, it looks to me to have been a rather panic measure, and legislation made as a panic measure is never normally very good legislation. You can think of examples, Dangerous Dogs Act and everything else, where it's not been very successful over the years. But of course we then had the rhetoric to go with this panic measure, and the rhetoric has continued for 40 years, unchanged. The same rhetoric that panicked people into the 1971 Act has carried through ever since. That drugs are wholly dangerous, that you mustn't go anywhere near them. If you do, it's the end of civilization as we know it. Anyone who wants to argue to the contrary is being, quote, soft on drugs and is endangering society and being completely irresponsible, and probably has got a beard and wears sandals at the same time. That's the mindset. And of course, anyone who says anything about these substances is being irresponsible. But of course, alcohol's a bit of a laugh, isn't it? Down the pub, alcohol's a bit of a laugh. People getting drunk in the street and vomiting everywhere, that's okay. No one seems to mind about that. No one minds about the A&E, which someone mentioned, the number of people going to A&E. If you ask the number, as I have, the number of people who die from tobacco every year, it's tens of thousands of people from tobacco every year, this legal drug we have. If you ask me if people die of alcohol, I think the last figure I got was about 8,700 from memory. This is actually about 3 weeks ago, the official figure. And I asked the number of people who die from cannabis each year, and the figure is, well, anyone know the figure? Zero. Actually, I'm told it's 1. I don't know what happened.
We've got a large margin of error.
Presumably a large chunk of hash fell on someone's head. Whatever it was, the figure is officially 1.